Chat.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to book club month. I don't know. Well,
Thanks for being here bright and early.
6, 5,
Our time.
5.
Book Club 5.
Book club 5.
Wow.
Did you guys read the book?
Is Book Club 5?
Hello. You said January.
Yeah. This is May book.
This is 6. This is not. Okay, but yeah, it's me, but.
Yeah.
This is book 5.
H has been off. The most remarkable creature, the last remains. Dear that
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't one in between that and this.
This is book 5. It went from last Rhino to this.
Yeah.
There was one month that we didn't have book club. Like we pushed it back a little bit.
Had every read.
Like we didn't have the book. We didn't discuss the book in that month.
First book I read,
That was last month.
a good portion of it. I read it a couple
December.
years ago.
Yeah.
First time I read the book club book. Hooray! Welcome to book club.
It's a good one to start off with.
It is a good one to start off with.
Yeah,
Did
it
everybody
is.
like it?
I did like it. It was much more fun and not and less depressing than the other ones.
It was very like feeling and like mental health heavy, which I like was not expecting.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be a book about climate. And
Yeah.
like yeah, and
Which
he
apparently.
he talked about extinction, he talked about climate like the one time with AC. Otherwise it was just like very human observations, I think.
Yeah. I think that was a good like takeaway, that just like being out in nature, being one with it, observing, appreciating.
Oh, that's interesting. There were some essays that were only in the audio and some only in the physical. So we'll have to see who's read what.
Oh.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I
didn't
only
know that.
listened to it.
I only read it. Well, I listened to the first couple of chapters with Kayla.
Did you guys have a favorite chapter?
Question. There was a couple that I like marked because I wanted like Lucas to read it. The one that I thought was the most interesting, or the one that just kind of blew my mind the most, was humanity's temporal range. Just like the way that he puts how long humans have been in existence into like an understandable time frame.
Oh my gosh, the like
Blue Line.
calendar year of us being like within the first like the last minute of the calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
37 months.
I liked that one a lot. I liked our capacity for wonder. I liked the Alaska cave paintings too. I thought that was a really unique one. That
Yeah.
kind of goes hand in hand with like humans destroying things. I think.
Yeah. I like how they like just like block it off and they're like
You're ruining it.
We tried to get into like appreciating it and like comparing it to the art that like his children make and stuff like that, which was cool.
I'm obsessed with the Piggly Wiggly like supermarket.
Piggly Wiggly. Have you
What?
been to one?
I've been to several.
Oh, I've never even heard of it.
I have
Me
a
neither.
shirt from Piggly Wiggly.
Wow.
I'd get a
And
shirt
it
from
literally
Piggly Wiggly.
says I'm big on the pig. And
Wow.
and it's got the like pig on the front and then it's got the butt wiggling on the back.
That's so funny. I like the Dr. Pepper chapter. That was cool. Did you guys read that one where they were like, it was like the flavor of Dr. Pepper was supposed to be like the smell of a soda fountain, like all the sodas combined, and I was like, that's so true.
I never
I-
thought
I
about
totally
like what the
see- I-
flavor of Dr. Pepper is.
I totally see that.
Yeah. Now Red Fox, thank you for the sub. Hello.
Maya has a funky mic.
What?
And then I also really liked Sycamore Trees.
Mm-hmm.
That one was probably my favorite.
That's one that I also highlighted. Sycamore Trees. I have way too many tattoo ideas, and Sycamore Trees was already an idea, and I think that kind of like nailed it. So
That's cool.
one day, because of this book, we'll have a sycamore tattoo.
Because of this book. I laughed at the Wintry Mix episode because I heard that chapter because I hate Wintry Mix. I don't remember how many stars he gave it, but I did try to block that one out. I was like, Wintry Mix is awful.
I've never heard of it.
Wintry Mix.
Uh-huh.
I appreciated the Indy 500 chapter. Because Amanda and I had like a whole conversation about how she's an F1 fan, and I was like, and then like we were literally talking about the Indy 500, and then I was literally on the next chapter with the
Nice.
Indy 500, and he said exactly what I said about how they just go left, and you go for the wrecks, and he was like, "This is what you do," and I'm like, "Oh my god, yay!" Same.
I also thought the grass, Bermuda
Kentucky
grass,
bluegrass.
Kentucky bluegrass, was
Yeah,
really
like the chapter
interesting.
about the Canada geese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That one was really interesting too. Just that
Yeah.
like we've literally just created habitat for geese, and then we just talk about how much we hate geese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We let them thrive, and then we're annoyed that
We're
thriving.
like, how dare you be here?
I don't know which chapter it is. Okay, never mind. I just have a note from page 109 that says, "We're a shitty god." And I was like, maybe that's the Canada Goose chapter. It was not, but
There were a lot of like I appreciate. I think more than like I was trying to explain this book to my dad this morning because I feel like this book is one that my younger brother would really like, and he's 12. But it's like kind of just like a collection of just like random things that like are quite unique to John Green. Really, at the end of the day, like it's his human experience. But I appreciate that he like put himself in the context of like living on this planet. So like the entire time I was like, what would I rate? Like in my life, like what are the things that like would make me feel nostalgic that I would like assign to like if I had written this book, what chapters, like what would my chapters be? So I thought it was really interesting.
what is significant enough to like ascribe a
Yeah.
number to? Sorry, what
And
was
like at the end of the day, like all of it would be really trivial to anyone else who read it. Like I wouldn't write a chapter about Diet Dr. Pepper. I don't like Dr. Pepper.
You
I don't like the Indianapolis 500. Like I don't attend those events, but it was like fun to read about them all the same.
That'd be a fun thing to do. Like we
That-
all just
yeah.
like come up with our own chapter of like something that is significant.
It's a fun exercise.
But like there were lots of like little things that stood out, like even though it is like a book of like seemingly things that are quite unique to John Green, like when he talks about how humans have so much power but also so little power, and how like that one really stuck with me, that we have the power to like go to space but not to like save the planet that we live on, or maybe we do have the power but we don't have the willpower to do it. I don't know, there were a lot of like interesting things.
It's like
There
in
were
the
a couple-
orbital sun rings, like one of the last chapters.
Yeah. And that for, you know, so many humans worry about the apocalypse. I think I talked to you about this the other day, but for so many species that live here, we are the apocalypse. It was just really humbling and funny and enjoyable, I guess, all at the same time.
Yeah, one of the things I thought about was like, I think of myself as an overthinker for sure, but I was like, this guy thinks. Like maybe I was like, maybe I need to think more like, about what's going
it's so
on.
funny because like when I was reading it, I was like, yes. I was lit. And maybe that's why I listened to it so many times, because I was like, and I was telling Connor about it. I was like, I think you should read it because I think you'd like it. But I was like, I think like I like it so much because I relate so much to how
he thinks. Yeah.
The chapters I marked for Lucas are like ones that like I think Lucas should read to know better about me because of like how it struck a chord with me, and I'm sure like with a lot of people too. But that was like that was one of the notes that I did take on page 220. I took really shitty notes. But it's the one with the meaning fairies, and I was like, I've not read something that I liked more than that. He says, we're all little fairies sprinkling meaning dust everywhere we go.
That's so cute.
I'm a little meaning fairy.
Amanda's on
Oh,
himself would not recommend thinking as much as he does. Yeah.
that's true. He does like he admittedly is like tortured by himself.
He literally like always goes to his brother and being like, "Please help me."
Please ground me, please. Yeah. I like the meaning dust too. That was a cute one. So good.
Yeah, he's a good writer. I watched The Fault in Our Stars, but I haven't read it. Have you guys read any of his other work?
I read The Fault in
honestly
Our Stars.
didn't know that was his
And
book, honestly.
I've probably read a couple a really long time ago. I remember loving The Fault in Our Stars and crying the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
I avoid things with feelings. I have none.
I think that's also why I listened. I'll have to look at the physical copy of the book, but I loved listening to the audiobook because he was the one who narrated it, and I think like the way that he speaks is very captivating as well. Yeah, he wrote The Fault in Our Stars and
wrote a
Turtles
couple.
All the Way Down, Looking for Alaska.
He wrote a couple books.
Yeah, he wrote several.
Ollie.
Yeah. Paper Towns. Yep.
Paper Towns.
Was live stream signing all his books. That's cool. Okay.
I
Aw.
also liked the bird sound clip from Hawaii. I don't remember what chapter that was, but I did like that chapter.
Sad.
Yep.
That's the birds that we
Yeah.
Extinction.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Yeah,
say
they
the name.
play the recording in the audiobook.
Oh.
It was sad.
That
That's
which
cool.
reminds me of like another quote that stuck with me when you said that, when he talks about like how he believes if a tree falls in the middle of the woods and there's nowhere to hear it, that it does make a sound.
Yeah.
But that eventually like there are certain like records or something that if humans disappear, like those sounds will be gone forever.
Yeah.
That's like a really also wild thing to think.
That's kind of nice.
It's
I
like
guess that's,
weirdly like
romanticizing
yeah, and
it.
he
I kind of
talks
like the
about
idea of it.
that's what he talks about too. He's like the planet will go on and perhaps we'll even be better off than it is with us on it.
Yeah.
But it is weird to think that, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, we are just here and then gone. And, like, how do you reconcile with the fact that if you're here and then gone, like, what is the point of it all? And, like, the point is all of these, like, little trivial things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Thanks for the 15 months.
Thank you.
One of the questions that we ask each other at home sometimes is like, if you could go 3 million years back in time or 3 million years into the future, which one would you guys do? I always say back, just because I think it would be insane to see the world how it was back then. But like a small part of me would want to see how the Earth turns up. Like, is it just desolate? Is it nothing? Or is there like a rewilding after humans are gone? If humans are gone, if we've survived to that point.
I also said backwards, much when you asked me the other day. But then I immediately thought of the chapter where John Green talks about how we're going to be swallowed by the sun someday, and I was like, when's that going to happen?
Right, yeah.
Soon,
But also, like, I
Yeah, where's the
appreciate that,
asteroid?
like humans have all these fears of, like, those apocalyptic scenarios, which I think is very funny. And it's all because, like, our individual lives will end, inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know. I feel like I keep thinking forward, but I think it's just because I'm really nosy. Like I want to know really bad, like what happens.
I think if it
This
was
is, like,
good,
but I don't
I'd
think,
know.
yeah, but I don't
Like,
think it would be for the best to go forward. I just want to know really bad.
that's the other thing I asked Rudy. I was like, would I have to come back? Like, would I know when I came back that I had seen 3 million years in the future?
Hmm.
Because if I didn't know, then it maybe wouldn't be so bad. But if I did know and it was worse, I'd be like, I'm checking out.
Yeah.
There's no point.
There's no point. I'm done.
Bella, thank you for the sub. 14 months. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I'd go forward, but I don't think that it's the right decision. That's my answer.
What are some of the other questions?
We have
I have some random like kind of notes that I took down. One, I have to go back and look at it, so maybe I should have waited until I started talking. Yeah, on page 33, I forgot what he's talking about, but he said, marveling at that perfection of that leaf, I was reminded that aesthetic beauty is as much about how and whether you look as what you see. I don't think I read that kind of in the cadence he probably wanted you to, but it reminded me of an essay that I wrote like in my undergrad, I think, about like the standard of beauty for nature, because I had an option of going either actually to Baja or to Belize, and I really wanted to go to Belize just because like I think forests are pretty, I think rain is pretty, I think like that ecosystem is pretty, and I didn't really want to go to Baja because I didn't think deserts were that pretty, and I was like, that's a silly thing to think, but I did. And Belize didn't end up happening. I went to Baja instead, which ended up being incredible, and finding like a newfound appreciation for that ecosystem, which really got me thinking like why I found one so beautiful over the other, and if it's really fair to have kind of opinions like that. Anyways, that's what that line reminded me of, is like, do I have a standard for beauty for nature, and is it fair?
I had that experience when I went to Tucson for that bug conference, because Evan, like we'll talk to Evan about it here. Evan is like so deeply in love with the wildlife and like the bugs in Tucson. And we went to the Saguaro National Park, and like that's not my scene. You know, I was like desert, big cactus, like okay. but for someone like an entomologist, I get like the diversity is insane out there. And he was like, it's like nowhere else in the US. And I was like, in Tucson? Really? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, I liked, were you talking about, is this with the kid with the leaf?
Yeah,
I think so,
son.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love leaf. I forgot how much I like that.
And then
That's
he's
so
like,
cute.
meaning.
That's that last bit where I think it's right before the part where Shruti was saying,
It's on page 33.
where he said that the more I looked at the leaf with Henry, the more I was compelled into an aesthetic contemplation. I neither understood nor desired face to face with something commensurate to my capacity for wonder.
That's gotta be my favorite part of the book. I love that. I think that's like, don't get me wrong, I don't really love being around kids, but I think that
There's
like,
something really pure about it.
yeah, I think there's something similar with animals too, where it's like they're so concerned with like what's in front of them, and it's really grounding.
And for so much, like, it's them seeing things for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, as you get older, you're like, well, I've seen a million oak
Yeah.
leaves, you know? And you forget that oak leaves are significant in their own right, and beautiful in their own right, because you see so many of them. Which, like, begs the question, too, like, if something is rare to you, is it more beautiful? You know, because we don't see it as often. Like, when I thought that same thing when I went to Alaska with Connor, because, like, I go to Alaska and I'm like, this is beautiful, but, like, is this not? Because I see it every day. I don't know. You know,
I kinda
it's just
had the-
different.
For me, I had the opposite thought. Like, I thought I liked forests and rain and just that ecosystem more because I grew up in Oregon. It's what I was like familiar and comfortable with. And so I was like, do I just like it because that's what I know most or what? Anyways, it was something that I had thought a lot about in the past, and that like chapter kind of like brought it back up.
This is one of the reasons that I love bugs so much, is because I think before I really like fell in love with bugs, I was like, I like rainforests because there's like so much color and there's so much diversity, and like there's a bunch of like mammals out there and birds, and like there's so many things. But once you start really liking bugs, you can just look down anywhere you are and you're like, new one, because there's so many different types. You can go to like any state, any country, anywhere, and it's just like endlessly fascinating if you're into them. They've actually been like, not to get like too deep about bugs, but it's been so grounding for me to like love them as much as I do now.
You'll have them wherever you go.
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, I've said this to you guys before too. I was like, I really hope that you're not terrified of bugs or hate them because they're freaking everywhere. Like, that sucks. Like, if you're outside, I have friends that don't want to go outside at night because they're like, I don't want to be around bugs. I'm like, that's crazy. But if you love them, then you have little, what did he call it? Magical meaning dust?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Dust.
Everywhere. Yeah, your lifer list is massive when you're into bugs. That's right. It's literally, I don't know. You see new bugs actually every day if you're looking for them. Weave. Learning to look around for bugs has changed about how I look at everything when I'm outside. That too, yeah, if you're going on a hike, like people get really bummed if they don't see like wildlife, you know? But like,
It's everywhere.
if you count bugs as wildlife, they're freaking, you'll see something. Same with plants. Get into plants, you have the same experience, I think. They're freaking everywhere.
There was a huge in the sycamore trees chapter. There's two parts that I like really resonated with, where he says, despair isn't very productive. That's the problem with it. Like a replicating virus, all despair can make is more of itself. If playing What's Even the Point made me a more committed advocate for justice or environmental protection, I'd be all for it, but the white light of despair instead renders me inert and apathetic. I struggle to do anything. It's hard to sleep, but it's also hard not to. I don't want to give in to despair. I don't want to take refuge in the detached ridicule of emotion. I don't want to be cool if cool means being cold or distant. Cold to or distant from the reality of experience. Depression is exhausting. It gets old so fast, listening to the elaborate prose of your brain tell you that you're an idiot for even trying. And when the game is being played, I feel certain it will never end, but that is a lie. Like most certainties, now always feels infinite and never is. I was wrong about life's meaninglessness when I was a teenager, and I'm wrong about it now. The truth is far more complicated than mere hopelessness. And then when he gets to the end of the next page, But for now, I am just looking up at that tree, thinking about how it turned air into water and sunshine into wood and bark and leaves, and I realize that I am in the vast dark shade of this immense tree. I feel the solace of that shade, the relief it provides, and that is the point.
I could never write that. It's so well written. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I love the part where you talked about the trees, like about how like it took the sunshine and it made all these things. And,
Yeah.
like, the point is just like paying attention to like all of these incredible things around us, even though life is hard and ugly sometimes.
I think
It's
that's why
also beautiful and challenging.
Sorry.
And beautiful because it's challenging and all that jazz.
Sorry, I'm trying to find like
No, you're good.
the sentence, but I feel like he loops back to that, I think at the end of, the ginkgo tree
Yep. Mhm.
chapter.
Mm-hmm. That last bit.
And most of all, I am
Yep.
here to be not just on this planet, but with it. I'm here to be with you, to be with my family, and even to be with this forest. The gift is being itself, and who better to show us that than the oldest lady in town, talking about the ginkgo tree. I think that was like a perfect way to end it.
I think so too.
It kind of reminds me of the paintball chapter too, where he's just like the giant paintball
Oh, yeah.
attraction.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Largest-
Sorry, yeah, I know. The giant bowl of paint chapter, where he was like, I don't remember what exactly he said, but I remember him saying like, to just like keep doing it, knowing that your work is going to be covered up and covered up and covered up, but just doing it because like you like it is cool. And I was like, yeah, I don't think like that at all. Like I could never take on a project like that knowing that it doesn't have, because it does have meaning, but in my head I'm like, I have this like hyper productivity problem and I'm like, it has to have meaning, it has to like have like output, blah, 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 but like to do stuff just to do it is cool. I don't know why that's happening, sorry. Testing.
This book brought a lot of COVID times back.
Mhm.
It was kind of trippy.
Mm-hmm.
Is my eyes like a bit robotic again, or just my ears? Sounds.
I don't know. It was kind of messed up before.
Okay.
Nobody knows. Have you enjoyed the Anthropocene so far?
I agree with him.
Yeah.
How he had one chapter that was like, yeah, it's great, and the next chapter was like, but it's also terrible. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of things that range from 1 star to 5 stars.
Yep.
That's a good question, though. How about you guys?
Yeah. I would say yeah. I mean, there's like a lot of things that I'm super jaded about, obviously. Did I tell you what that NRDC climate scientist said to me
Oh no.
that one time? That's awesome. I went to a NRDC event, and NRDC, Natural Resources Defense Council. So they're the people that are like suing the federal government. We just did a reel with them. And they do a bunch of advocacy, political advocacy for the environment. And one of their climate scientists, I asked her, like, so how do you do it? I was like, so, like, that mic is cooked.
Here.
Pause.
I wonder if this is here?
If they're off the back on. No, I don't know. Is this better? It's fine.
I was like, so how do you do it? Because sometimes I think, I mean, conservation is really, really hard to do and can be really depressing to do. But being in the consumer choice space is easier, I think, because it's like we're constantly giving people things that they can do. And like, that's nice. But being in like NRDC space where there's like constantly fighting like a government that doesn't want what's best for our natural resources is like exhausting. So I was like, how do you do it? And she said, as long as you have more love for what you're fighting for than hatred for what you're fighting against, like you can do it forever. And I was like, and this is like a, I don't know, 50-something-year-old climate scientist who's been working with NRDC for like 20 plus years. And I was like, I don't know if I've had that experience or if I like believe that internally, but I trust you. So I'm just gonna like lean on that forever. So despite how jaded I am for certain things and like how frustrated I am for certain things, I know that I like love our natural world and like love doing conservation way more always. And she said that that's enough. So
I like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's enough for me.
I appreciate what Beeb said here. I also think it's significant how he explained the 1-star items with the same passion and thoroughness as the 5-star items, and they're just as important to his human experience as the 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we hyperfixate on the 1-star experiences more than the 5 stars.
I think that's nice.
The Anthropocene is beautiful and it's so much when you focus on the internet that when you zoom out the consequences of the Anthropocene are very prevalent. Yeah. Yeah, that chapter where he like put everything on the time scale, like where you think about how humans have only been here for like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like just the amount we've accomplished, but also the damage we've done in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavy.
It's a lot of feelings.
It's a lot of feelings.
Chat, have you enjoyed the Anthropocene so far? You guys are quiet this morning. Unless it's... Is it frozen? Oh my gosh. Chat, wake up. I thought you died.
There's almost 1,000 of you.
Why are you not talking?
To be fair, we're not either, but there's only
But we asked
Five of us.
We asked Chad a question and they're not answering.
something that I thought was super relevant to today's time. It's page 54. And I don't know, short-term memory loss or something, but I can't remember exactly like what, he's talking about velociraptors, but on the last page of that chapter, he says, "That's the wonder and terror of computer-generated images for me. If they look real, my brain isn't nearly sophisticated, enough to understand they are not. We've long known that images are unreliable. Kafka wrote that nothing is as deceptive as a photograph, and yet I still can't help but believe them." And I know he wrote this probably years ago, before AI was as prevalent as it is today.
I would love to hear what he thinks about that.
Yeah, I would love to know his thoughts on that. Because, I don't know, we've all seen, I feel like I don't go on Facebook anymore because I feel like it's just AI images that people are taking to be as fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in today's day and age, we have to require ourselves to be a little smarter than that if we want
A
to,
little more discerning.
yeah, if we want to do good.
It was interesting how much he loves art. Oh, I also loved that, what did he call it? The, shared thing, the third thing between a couple. And he was for us, it's looking at art and you, feel connected because it's just, a shared thing, or that's, a way that you guys are connected, and then they're kids.
Yeah, it's the chapter where he was talking about the song, wasn't it? It was a song.
Yeah. I thought that was really neat, and I love that concept.
The performance on May 25th, 2005.
I also thought it was interesting how much he loves art. I've never gotten into it.
Yeah.
I've never had that experience with it, and I would like to, but I don't know, maybe I just need to think about, maybe now that I'm older, I could appreciate it more. Because early 20s, I was not looking at art and being yes, I don't know, just didn't have it in me. But how much he loves art and how he experiences it makes me want to try.
That's what the orbital sunrise chapter did for me. I also I like painting sometimes, but mostly it's just a fun or kind of relaxing thing to do, not in I'm not trying to express myself
right,
or,
yeah.
How art is sometimes used. But I never thought about art as being exposing you to something that you may never see or experience
Or
yourself.
yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, and not something that I've really considered.
Yeah, that's
I think
cool.
one of my favorite quotes is a footnote where he goes, "It occurs to me that technology often brags about solving problems it created." Alright.
I know some people like that. I think there's no reason not to be into something like art, books, etc. If something can give you joy, why not let it? No, yeah, that's cool. I just mean, I've never, like, it's not like I've been keeping myself from being into art. I've just, like, never really understood it.
Same, yeah.
Oh, I also loved how he described his rivalry with the groundhog. That was so funny. And, like, making a little groundhog garden. I've never heard of someone doing that. But, like, it's cute. And, like, that's sick if it actually works. I feel like you kind of have to get lucky, though, for them to stay in that garden.
Like, this is my garden.
Yeah, but it's a really sweet way of, like, thinking about coexistence with other species and, like, how do we go from pest control, like, get rid of him, to, like, coexisting. I think that's a nice thought. It's like trap crops for bugs. I also think it's funny to, like, have an arch nemesis.
I know.
It's like, I like that. I want an arch nemesis.
I thought it was very appropriate for who he is as a person. Like, he just seems very wholesome. Of course, his arch nemesis is like
Groundhog.
It's very appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Puts in perspective how animals can have so much personality. Yeah. I think the whole book for me put into perspective, like, how much slowing down you can do. Like, something like Diet Dr. Pepper or a giant ball of paint, roadside attraction, can have so much meaning to him if you just, like, slow down and think about it. And, like, I feel like if you're extrapolating meaning from that many parts of your life, like, it's got to make your life feel longer. Or, like, slower. Or, like, more meaningful. Fulfilling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I think, yeah, it, just to speak to that, like, there was a comedy skit a long time ago that, I think it was Ellen DeGeneres, and she was talking about how all of these things, we kept on creating things that were supposed to give us more time. And she was like, and I don't know about you guys, but I have less time. And like it's almost like by, you know, like all of us now, we just kind of like live in this constant like cycle of like hustle and hustle and hustle. And that's very often sometimes what I say about going abroad feels different for me for that way. Like when I go to Ireland, everything feels less urgent than it does here. And I don't know if it's just because I've been taken out of my daily routine, because I don't feel that way everywhere I go, but like in Ireland, I just feel like there's a different appreciation for certain things that feels a lot more like authentic to the way that I wish I lived my life than I do here. That I think speaks to like it kind of reminds me of a lot of other things, but
So
just,
too.
like, forcing myself to pay more attention to everything outside of like, because here it's just like these are the list of things that I need to get done every single day, and if I finish them all by this time, I might get 6 hours of sleep.
I think Strange Cyan brought up a topic in relation to art, but they brought up toxic productivity, which I feel like is a theme that fits really well into this book, because this book is really like encouraging you to like slow down and be observant, and like really, I guess, be in the moment. But we kind of do live in like an environment where there's a pressure to be productive or do something meaningful all the time, every day, when that's maybe not the point.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to like live in a place that like people take pride in how much they work, and you're like, really?
People are bragging about how tired they are,
Get
and
out of
like
here.
how overworked they are, and like, is that really what should we be glorifying?
Yeah.
Stay hard.
Because you're right, because a lot of times, like in other countries, like that's that's not the outlook. Like it's not to be busy and tired, and it's to just actually enjoy
Living.
living a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life does feel a lot slower in a good way.
Remember in the
Places.
Attenborough book when he was talking about how time moves in Africa, and he was like, like, you can't give them like a time to be there. Like it might be 3 days later, because they're just like laying under a tree and they're like, oh, but the breeze is nice today, so I'll be here. I'll do it like later.
It's funny, Indonesia had like a phrase for that. It was called like jam juta or something. It's called rubber time. How just time is very like flexible and like it's not something that's rigid.
Yeah.
Can confirm that is how Africa goes.
It is definitely. I get overwhelmed sometimes thinking about how like we live like in like constructs entirely created by ourselves. Like people are out here like we don't have. Not everybody has enough money. Not everybody has enough food, and you're like, we made all of the problems that we have. And we all like abide by the same like weird like, oh yeah, you go to work at this time, you go home at this time, and like there's it's just like a really strange thing to like fall down that rabbit hole and think about how literally everything that I'm like, wow, I really struggle with these things. I'm like, my human decided it was a good idea at one point, and we all just said, sure, yeah, that seems like a good idea.
No thoughts, just weave.
No thoughts, just weave.
I feel like there was times I had to put this book down to be like,
Woof.
weave. Weave. I turn my brain off for a second, go look at a leaf, and just not think.
King Pyrus, thank you so much.
All right, new thing. If we start to spiral,
Weave.
I'm gonna start gifting you guys weaves. I see you like running around like stressed out. I'm just gonna be like, for you. Poncho B.
Oh, the Googling Strange chapter hurt and caught me off guard, yeah.
I feel like this is gonna be a little cheesy, but like when Ella was here, whenever she would find a cool rock,
Oh,
she'd
yeah.
come show it to me, which I really like appreciated about her. Which I like because it meant like it doesn't matter like what she was doing or like if she was mucking or something, she was still like
She's like, ooh, rock.
yeah, like looking at rocks, looking at leaves and stuff. It's been forever since I've looked at rocks. Only
Reminds
poop.
me of that thing that I said the other that meme. I've said it a couple of times. Where like when I was 7 years old, I wanted to like go out into the woods and like look at rocks. And then like as an adult, you're like, I want to get a house and have a car and like blah blah blah. And then you're like you hit like 40 and you're like, I would like to go out into the woods and look at rocks.
we circle back.
Circle back.
That's Mr. Anon to you. Thank you for the $250 donation.
Hot damn.
Thank you so much.
The magic of the book is drawing the line from stupid things like Dr. Pepper and the penguins of Madagascar to the raw human experience. Yeah.
Oh, the penguins of Madagascar. I forgot about that.
Exactly.
I wanted to watch that movie after I read that chapter. I don't know if you guys have.
It's
but
good.
Is it cool? Cool.
Smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave. So good. Paid Ella.
Yeah.
It also just was one of those things that I think, like, reading it, you're like, there's just, like, sometimes I get so sad that I don't have, like, more time. Like, I already am sad for the time that I don't have,
Yeah.
which is a crazy thing to feel. Because you're just like, there's so much that I want to see and read and learn, and sometimes, like, having to exist in, like, that same cycle every day and just, like, never getting time, or maybe just getting a little bit of time, it's, like, it's really struggled. I struggle a lot with like the idea that I'm gonna have to choose things.
I feel that way a lot when I travel. Because in my head, there's a lot of different lives that I could have lived.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy with the life that I do have, but like, I don't know, you're like mourning all like the other lives that you could have lived, but you can't because you only have one.
Yeah.
And yeah, like in another life, like I live in a different country, or like I do something else. In another life, I live in a van and I don't live anywhere.
Along that same thread, sometimes I'm like, what if I had made one choice differently?
Oh, I think about that.
What if
all
I
the
had
time.
made
I think about
like,
that all the time.
one different choice?
I can tell you exactly where the deciding factor happened in my life. And I'm like, what would it look like if I chose different in this moment? Because I can tell you exactly what
So
it
anyway,
is.
There's
everybody should pick up rocks.
Leaf.
Al said, bring back rock skipping for real, whatever happened to that whimsy.
I still skip rocks when I'm in a place where I can skip rocks. I looked in Alaska when we were looking for bears on that, like, in front of the water there were no flower rocks. But I do try.
But speaking of that, though, like how one small decision could have changed like the trajectory of our lives. I think that's a theory, like the many worlds theory, and it's a theory in that like every time that you are faced with a decision, correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, because it's been like a long time since I've read it. The world splits into two, and on one world you make one decision, and on like a different world you make the other decision. So like that decision that you didn't, or like the choice that you didn't make in this world, you made in another world, and you're living that life in another world somewhere, which is trippy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like thinking about it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Multiverse. Yeah, strange silent, also a uniquely human thing that we are the only animals that know our own temporal range. Yeah.
He said that at the very end of the book. He was talking about Hank's song, and he was like, "Oh, what was the lyric in the song?" Where he was like, "We were made by the universe just to like perceive itself," or something like that.
Oh yeah, we're made like of the.
Was that in the postscript or postscript?
Postscript. Yeah, postscript.
Yeah, Mappo, I think I learned about that when in school where we were learning about existentialism. Which is crazy.
The universe observing itself.
The universe created a tool within in which to know itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
And then you're just a hunk of Earth trying to sustain a departure from chemical equilibrium.
We've as you rock back.
Yeah, that's at the end too. Sometimes I wonder how I can survive in this world where, as Mary Oliver put it, everything sooner or later is part of everything else. Other times I remember that I won't survive. Of course, I will sooner or later be the everything that is part of everything else. But until then, what an astonishment to breathe on this breathing planet. What a blessing to be Earth-loving Earth.
Phoenix, that stuck with me too. The universe created a tool with which to know itself.
Entropy, yay!
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that stuck with me, I keep starting thoughts without finding the chapter or the words, and then being like, but wait.
There's more.
I think it's when he's talking to his brother too, but he talks about, like when he's tending to his garden, it's like earth planting earth in the earth, or
Yeah.
everything is part of the earth, so he like refers to himself as the earth, like that action that he's doing as like also of earth, doing it to the earth. And then he talks about like the damage as well, that we as earth are hurting earth.
Yeah. We're just Earth creating Earth by putting it in Earth.
But he also says, what a blessing to be earth-loving earth. That's also really pretty.
Are there things we didn't like about the book?
It made me feel,
Mm.
and I didn't like it. That's it. It was too much.
It brought my depression back up to the surface.
I feel like it was just kind of like, no, I don't think there's anything about it I didn't like. I think I appreciated every minute of it.
Yeah,
And I think it was
every
just
minute
because
of
it
it.
was like a little window into someone else's, like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
I relate a lot, I think, to the way that he thinks. He thinks much more eloquently than I do. But it kind of felt nice to not be alone
Mm.
in that way, because Connor doesn't think like that.
That's true.
So it was nice, and I know that like that's not a crazy, like I know that I'm not alone in the way that I think, but it was really nice to just like have a little window to someone else who I feel thinks very similarly to the way that I do.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated the whole thing. Like I don't think I could say that I didn't like a single part of it.
Yeah. It's big out. I agree. She said, I feel like he put a lot of our thoughts into explicit terms, which was nice. I feel like I struggle with that sometimes. And he did a very good job of that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I didn't like. I thought it was neat. I would have like, I don't know if that's true. I was hoping for more talk about like climate and like conservation and stuff, but I liked that so much of it was just like anecdotal and whatever too.
As someone who enjoys academic writing, I think John Green stuff often makes some scientific theory and philosophy more accessible. It's a valuable thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. I think probably based on the title, I expected it to be more scientific, but I think also in a
Yeah.
way it's nice that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I think it was it makes you wonder enough, maybe, for people who aren't scientifically inclined to think about their impact on the world and to maybe jump from there. So I think it could appeal to. It appeals to a much larger audience than just a scientific audience.
For sure.
Scientifically minded audience that way.
All right, should we pick the next book?
Yeah,
Space.
exciting.
Should we pull up the wheel? Chad, are you ready? Ooh. John Green collab when? Yeah. I don't know. Hank Green collab when?
Oh, this one has the newest removed.
I'll say it brought up very different feelings than it did back when I read it in 2021 at the height of COVID. I think thinking about the COVID thing for me, I feel very detached from it.
From COVID?
Yeah. It's a very strange thing for me to think of.
Well, I think because of our job.
Yeah, nothing changed for me day to day.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Same.
I didn't have the same experience as other people did with COVID because
And
I still had to go to work. I still saw people.
And I was very lucky not to lose anyone during COVID
Yeah.
as well.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, my day to day life didn't change.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I still, even though
it's very strange to think about it now.
yeah, even though because Ashley and I we didn't live together at that time, but we were still neighbors, and she was on the different team because I think she was on your team.
Yeah.
But I still saw her because she would walk her dog, and I would just hang out on my porch and be like, "Oh, hey, friend, how's it going?" I'd still talk to her. I still saw people.
Mine got the easy
Yep. All right, let's spin the wheel.
ones. Okay, spinning.
It's time.
Book club.
Book number 6.
This is a very slow turn. Did you spin it?
No.
Is it spinning?
Oh, it's
I was
spinning.
what is happening?
It's now spinning.
COVID didn't change my life other than I have agoraphobia now.
I think COVID.
Yes!
Oh,
Cool, okay.
Yes!
what is it?
The insect crisis.
Heck yes.
Bugs.
This is awesome!
That sounds like a very cozy book.
Sounds very cozy. No, it's sorry. Guys.
Are we in a spiral?
Oh yeah. This is a tough one. I have not finished this
Well, he's
book.
finally deciding to join us.
That's so nice, Polly. Did you have any thoughts? Polly's I wasn't around during COVID. Thanks.
No, she wasn't.
That's true.
Alright, excellent. Guys,
Oh no, a crisis book.
time to read The Insect Crisis. Thank you for coming to book club.
Thank you for coming to book club.
Thank you for participating. Thank you for the subs today. That's Mr. Anon to you. Thank you for the crazy donation today.
Gotta weep it on this one.
Yeah. Take weep
Next book
moments.
club, we're all just gonna bring a pile of leaves.
We've-
Just take one when we need it.
We can all bring our own pile, and then we can pass them around the table when we get a
That's what
little
I really
sad.
liked about the ginkgo tree because he talked about the leaves in it.
Guys, in just a few short hours, and by a few short hours, I mean in 1 hour,
In one short hour.
you have chat chats with Dr. Julie. So,
Enrichment for some marms.
yeah, make sure you get your primate questions out and ready to go. Dr. Julie will be on in an hour. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.